My two sons went to Kadima School, and from 1999 to 2001, Karen was board president of the Kadima School, and I so admired her strength and her character in getting stuff done. In 2003, I was chief of the Domestic Violence Bureau in the DA's office, and I had written a grant for to obtain funds from the Department of Justice to open a family justice center. Buffalo and Erie County was one of the 13 communities that were awarded the grant. And I turned to Karen and I said, I can't pay you a dime, but I need help. And would you be willing to volunteer to help set up the first family justice center in Erie County? And within a tenth of a second, she said yes. And I started to get to know Rick, who is an amazing get things done kind of guy. When it was decided that Kadima School should have its own building, that never, ever would have happened without Rick and of course Karen by his side, with his vision and ability to bring our community together for a Jewish day school. That building was a tribute to the Zakaliks, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I feel lucky that I'm part of a community that is as strong as it is because of Karen and Rick, and I'm just lucky to count them as my friends.
What I've always admired about them is that they've built this group of people around them, largely from the Jewish community, but also from elsewhere too, that have been there through all the amazing times through our lives, right? You know, being born, our bris, our bar mitzvahs, but also like the hard times. And that's, I think, something that as now, you know, I have my own son, learning to be a good father and all these things, that it's not just about your nuclear unit, but about like the entire, you know, the people you surround yourself with, and the values that they bring too. You've instilled values in both me and David that we continue to carry on in our own journey with Judaism, especially in times like this where there's such uncertainty in the world, and the need to rally together is so important. And especially now as I have my own son and look to instill the same values in him as he grows up, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for me and for this community. Mazel tov, and we love you guys.
Kathy and I came to Buffalo in 1993. Our kids were young. Philip started attending Kadima Nursery School, and through that connection we met Rick and Karen Zakalik, and we've just been friends ever since. When he took over as the executive of JCC, he really knew how to run a tight ship, and I think that was to the benefit of the JCC, certainly their financial bottom line. He led by making a big gift, and then went to everybody and asked them to give the best gift that they could give. Rick has said to me that money is like manure. It's only good if you spread it around. My background was not one of necessarily fundraising and charity, but Rick, of course, with his involvement in Jewish philanthropy, has strongly influenced me. You know, I feel honored to be able to contribute to this community, and I think, you know, in part, Rick, you know, has had a significant influence on me.
I got to meet Rick in the 1980s when I was at Federation and he was a volunteer for the campaign. And then Rick, in the early 90s, chaired the campaign for Jewish Buffalo, and also chaired the campaign for Soviet Jewry, where we raised money to bring Jews who were coming in from the Soviet Union into Buffalo. Rick would just call people up and say, look, I need money from you. we have to bring these people in. We have to find housing for them. They're starting with nothing. And he was very successful, and people were able to come over. And Rick has a lot to do with that. My mother died in 2007, and Karen and Rick were friends with my mom, Arlene Goldstein. But what Karen and her son David and the family did for us, she came over that day and helped me and my sister. We had to clean the whole house up. This is something I will never forget. And so in the process of this, they became part of our family, or we became part of their family. It's all about caring and sharing and making people's lives better in Buffalo, New York, and that's what they're doing, and that's what they've done. I think their legacy, and we're fortunate in the Jewish community to be able to have had both of them as leaders.
As early as I can remember, our dinner table was the nexus of Jewish life in our home. Every Friday night without fail when we were home, whether it was the four of us, Grandma too, or a house of 20 guests, Shabbat was really, and still is, the center of our family life when we're all together. My knowledge of Yiddishkeit has stuck with me. Every hug, every kiss was Jewish in our home. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I would have been on a very different path, and I think my life would have been much poorer and blander. A herzlich and mazel tov to you both. This award is very much deserved, and it just barely scratches the surface of the service that you both have done to the community yourselves and by raising two proud Jewish sons.
Rick Zakalik was the CEO of the JCC, and I was his Associate Executive Director, so I was his right hand, and I worked with him for over 10 years. You don't often see in people at the executive level the kindness that he portrayed. The year that my mom passed away, he and Karen immediately kind of took charge and arranged for the Shiva dinners. When we went through COVID, we shut down for a number of weeks, and he was very sensitive to the fact that staff needed to get paid, and how are we going to make sure that we took care of them. We all took 20% cuts in our salary, but we knew we had to do that. Eventually it came back when we received the credits, but we were willing to step up, and he was a partner in this. It wasn't he was going to do something different for him. We all were in it together with him, and that's just how he was. So his impact was so profound. I have learned a tremendous amount from him. The business acumen, being involved in the community, establishing community relations, demonstrating that I can be a leader as he was. You know, I hope that when I finally retire from here, that they feel the same way about me as we all feel about him. Thank you for everything you've taught me. Thank you for being a partner. Thank you for trusting me. Just thank you for believing in me.
Rick and Karen, to me, exemplify the best of Jewish lay leadership. On the fundraising side, Rick, for example, was able to teach us how to dream and teach me how to develop a dream with regards to lay leadership. He said, for example, Mark, if we can get 40 people to pretend they have an extra child in the school and pay full tuition for 5 years, we can make this happen. Rick was able to get that dream, and I've used that in other schools. Karen excelled in making sure our school held fast to its values and made sure that we we're true to who we should be. And you can't have enough of that. You always need people in your school who you could trust to be honest. And I appreciated her feedback tremendously. Shalom Israel, and I love the fact that you're doing this in spite of the war. And for me to be able to get my mind out of the war for a bit is also important. Thank you.
I first met Karen shortly after they were married. I saw in her very intent eyes and was not surprised at her beauty, because Rick always loved beautiful things. I knew right away that she was someone I would want to know more of. I was so pleased that Karen took part in one of the first classes of the Board Governance Project for Women that I founded at the United Way. Karen taught me refinement. She knew how to refine a thought, how to distill things, and how to take the information from one place to another with ease. And I think it's a wonderful thing to be taught. She also taught me some recipes, which is always a good thing. I can't think of Karen without thinking of Rick. They have a beautiful marriage. I think that says volumes about the way they respect each other. Their children are wonderful. Communities are where we bring our gifts, our strengths, where we can contribute. The Jewish community is stronger because of Rick and Karen Zakalik.